Good morning, everyone. It's Miss T. Um, I hope everyone slept peacefully, woke up in a good mood, ready for the day. I got this topic just a couple of hours ago because I went to bed I went to bed late, but when I went to bed, I cleared my mind and I was like, whatever God pops into my head, that's what the topic, because um, evidently that's what he wants me to talk about, and maybe someone needs to hear it. I'm not in fear of any topic, and I know some of the topics that I might talk about will upset people, possibly have them unsubscribe to me or worse. I don't know, but that doesn't matter. If he tells me or puts in my head what I'm supposed to talk about, then that's what I'm going to talk about. And it's like far off what I have been going. I mean, I've talked about it before, but just in a brief upload. But what we're talking about today is wasting of the seed. So throughout the Bible, it's talked about, God talks about the seed, and it's especially after the flood, where everyone was wiped out except Noah and his family. God, wanted them to go be fruitful and multiply. So the seed represents God's plan as to multiply the world after the flood. And what that means is the husband and wife, I'm not going to get into how people perceive what a husband and wife looks like. I'm only going to go by what I've read and what I've studied. So I'm going to say a husband and wife, which means a man and a woman, who are intimate and produce a child. And this is what God had planned. That was in his plan. There's a story in the Bible in Genesis 38, 9 through 10, about, or I believe his name is Onan. His brother had been unalived. I don't know if, I didn't talk about how, might have been in the war, I don't know. But he was given instruction. His father, Judah, instructed him what they do after, if someone in the family passes away and they have a wife, the brother takes on the wife as his wife. But any offspring or any children that are produced are considered the dead brother's heirs. And so he was told to take his brother's widow, her name was Tamar, and to conceive with her so that his brother would have heirs. And he didn't want to do that for whatever reason. I guess he didn't, he felt that if he was going to have children, they should be his heirs. So what he would do when he was intimate with her, he would do what they're called pull out. That's what they consider it, what they call it now. But back then it's the same thing, but he would stop the process when it's getting to that, and waste his seed. Now back then, it was very, very, that there was a law, there was consequences about wasting your seed. And what happened to him was God took his life. It was that serious. Of course, no, not today. It's still serious, but God doesn't directly come to us, or he doesn't. He already said that when Jesus returns, that's when we'll be judged for all of our sins. So each and every, I mean, if he came down to us and took us out for each and every sin, there'd be nobody to come back for. Yeah. So you know, as the world has gone on, and sin has become rampant, things are just not the same as they were before. But God's law is still the same. That never changes. So God had plans were that the seed was to be between a husband and a wife, being intimate and conceiving children. That was the whole that was that whole sanctity right there. Nothing more, nothing less. Nothing extra, nothing. Just what it says. So I went and when I used to read in the Bible about certain things, it always talked about, not always, but there's scriptures about homosexuality. And I wondered why it was mainly focused on the man. And I was like, well, women, what is it called when two women are together? That's a sin. How come it's mainly describing two men? And they say that it's an abomination. They don't emphasize that on two women when they're doing, they're sinning also, because they're going out of what God's law is. So as I was reading more and more, I come to this seed, how they talk about, how it's talked about almost like it's a so important that defiling it. I mean, if you tell somebody if you waste it, you'll be put to death. That sounds like, pretty important to the law. And we know that women do not produce seeds. So in my study, I was thinking, okay, so it's a sin for both. It's a sin for women to be with women. It's a sin for men to be with men. But what brings in the abomination is bringing in the seed, because both men together both have seeds. So if the Bible has put the seed as so precious and so almost like liquid gold, this is what God has given the man to procreate the world. And it was given to him for that purpose. It wasn't given to him to do whatever they wanted with it, or what would I say, or to abuse it. So wasting the seed, there's many ways to do that. So, and as I'm reading, I'm saying wasting is anything that you do, anything that you do in your sexual, and it's not, you are not within the intimacy, or it says the cavity of the woman in order to procreate, is a sin. Because that's what it was for. So that leads me to believe there's a lot of sins that people are wasting their seed. Let me go back to homosexuality. So reading about, reading the chapters and things about homosexuality between two men, it's always looked at as horrible. Abomination is a very harsh word. It's almost like you're the disgusting, defile, horrible act, and they always put that on two men. Well, if God's seed is so precious, if you think about it, when two men are together, where they're putting that seed, where they're putting the seed that God made so precious, when they're doing what they're doing, that seed is going, not as only is it being wasted, it's going into waste. And that's what that clicked in my head, is like, well, yeah, that defile, abomination, because you're taking God's, what God had planned to be beautiful and to create a new life, and you're basically throwing it into trash, into waste, is like slapping God in the face. Like, here's what I feel about your precious semen, and what you did, what you intended it for it to be. This is what I think about it. So yeah, that's pretty heavy right there, because if it, that's true. What is made, or what comes out of that area of the body, is all of the things that you had consumed, and that needs to come out. It's poison. It needs to come out in order for you to be okay, for you to not get sick or get unhealthy or cause any other issues. It needs to come out, and it's waste. So you're putting God's seed in the mix, that needs to be the filth, that and the poison that needs to be removed from your body. So if you look at it that, when I looked at it that way, I was like, wow, yeah, I understand why he used that terminology for two men. I understand why he uses it. It's an abomination. He's not saying two women are safe, or it's okay for them to be. They're committing a sin also, but they have no seed to defile. They don't have a seed. So he's just letting you know that you're taking people are just take with God, the precious things that God had given us, and they're just doing like it's nothing, like it's theirs. God, it's not yours actually. God created you and breathed into you the breath of life, and that's why you're living. And it also says that your body is the temple of God. That means it belongs to God. So people are doing so many things with God's temple that it's just like they're saying, this is we always hear, it's my body, I can do with it what I want. And actually that's not true. And so when we wonder why, when we don't wonder why, because we know when you're doing bad things and you're putting bad things into your body, taking even the religion out, it's just common sense that your body is going to start shutting down. If you drink heavily for your whole life, I had never even heard the word mush brain. I had never heard that word, but one of my associates, well, I'm going to say friends which you already know, I only have two friends. And her husband, that's what he died from. He drank so much that his brain turned to mush. I had never heard that before in my entire life. But I guess if all you do is consume alcohol, you don't consume water, you don't consume food, you hardly consume food, your body, it filters into every part of your body. So I guess once it gets to your brain, your brain is full of alcohol, it just starts to disintegrate it. I guess that's what, I know that had to be a horrible death. If you smoke for your whole entire life, it causes all kind. You can get cancer. You can get emphysema. You can get all kinds of things happen, and that doesn't even. I mean, that's just knowledgeable things. Your body needs your body needs to be well taken care of and well nurtured for you to have a long life, for it to last for you. And when you abused it, those are the consequences that happen. So we're not off that subject. We're going to look at it's not, and so we've talked about the two men together, but you're wasting your God's seed. Two men, a man and a woman, can waste God's seed also. He has told us over and over again the laws, what this is for, and why He created it, and and He doesn't want you to mess with that. That's not the way He looks at it. You're throwing His law in His face. Like how the people, when Moses went up to get the 10 Commandments, and God told him to go down because the people are down there cutting up, and he went down and they were cutting up because they were throwing even though they didn't have the law yet, they knew that there was a law, and they knew what they were. Moses had already, given them God's instructions, so they knew that they were not to be making idols anymore. They knew they weren't to be fornicating or getting drunk and doing all kinds of things. God never said, I never seen in the Bible where it says you couldn't drink, because they made wine. I don't know if it was a different kind of wine. I'm not going to get into that. It just says not to drink to the point where you're drunk, and when you're drunk, your mind, you have no thought. You'll do anything. You can't even focus. You can't even see. So that's how we get drunken drivers, and that's how we get people kidnapped, because they have no clue of what is going around in their around. People being assaulted, people going into places that they walk straight into the river or fall off a bridge or just anything. So He's not saying, not only is He telling you that this is a sin, but He's protecting you. If you get drunk, everyone knows, because I'm not going to say everybody, because everybody hasn't drinking, but people who drink and have gotten drunk before know, and me included. When you had to put your foot on the floor to keep the room from spinning, or when you had that horrible, when you threw up and then you had the dry heaves, or the next morning when you felt horrible, and you always said, God, if you take this away, I'll never do it again. We all been there. And that's why when I used to go out and party, I put in my mind, I'm going home. I'm not going anywhere else. After the club, go home. If I meet somebody and they want to talk to me, let me take you. No, here's my phone number. If you want to take me to breakfast, you can call me tomorrow morning and we can go to breakfast. I'm going home. So, like I said, it can also, you're also wasting seed. A man and a woman can also waste seed. So here's where some people, not only are the other, I already talked about the other people that might be upset with me, but here we're going to talk about the rest of the people that are going to be upset with me. So wasting the seed means that if you put the seed anywhere outside of a woman's body, where it belongs, I'm going to say the woman's the place where it goes to create a child, you're committing a sin. That's not my law, that's his law. So if it's going into the mouth, that's not where it was intended to go. We already talked about the other part with the man. If a man and a woman, if it's going there, it's an abomination too, because you're putting it in waste. The same way, if you're removing, using it for, whatever the sayings are, anything outside the body is a sin. Even if you're married, even if it's not just for people who are fornicating, on top of that, if you're married and you're wasting the seed, it's the same thing. Now that comes, people always say that it's against God's law to use protection as far as birth control and things like that. I'm not saying condoms, because the husband and wife usually don't use condoms. But people say that it's a sin to do that. Now, I have never read that in the Bible. I don't know. I imagine that if God said be fruitful and multiply, that's what he meant. But that, we're in a different era. We're moving on up to when Jesus is coming back. So I know a lot of things have changed. So we just need to be cautious. What I would say is I would pray about it. If married couples, because in my mind, I would think using protection because you can't afford to have 9 kids or whatever would be way more acceptable than to terminate a baby. So that is just what I believe, until I read and find in my mind, I find that it says something else. That's what I believe. But just the bottom line, when you're not married, you're not supposed to be having sex with anyone, period, anybody. So we're going to leave it at that. But I would also say that, I would always say, using protection or, stopping it before would always be better than to terminate a life. Back to people, it's my body and I can do with what I want. That's you. I can't judge you. I'm just going by what God said. He'll let you know, just like I have to find out on, and try to understand what he's telling me, or, you'll have to do the same. So what, what we're doing, there's nothing new under the sun. Nothing. So why people are going rampant, it just seems like to me, sex is not what it was intended for in the first place. It's used for recreation. It's used for almost like rituals. It's used to make money. It's used to do lucid acts, it's used for everything but what it was intended for. And so it has lost its value and the true meaning of a husband and wife loving one another and coming together to show each other that love and to procreate, to have children. So everyone has, I'll take that back. Most people have a conscience. What that does is tells you something's not right. You shouldn't be doing something because you get a feeling that this is not right and that you shouldn't do it. Most people have that. So basically, if you're doing something and you're not comfortable, that you're getting a bad feeling, or you don't do it. Women, if the man says he wants to do whatever, put it wherever, and you don't feel comfortable, and it's not right, because it's not. Because let me tell you, I asked the doctor. Me and my doctor are like friends. So, and when I'm a very inquisitive person, I like to know stuff. So I've asked a doctor, because just let me tell you what the doctor told me. That is the filthiest thing to ever do, because it doesn't belong there at all. Every bacteria, every poison, every cell that might possibly have cancer, might possibly have anything, you're going in there and you're introducing it to your bodies. Then you're taking that, because once you might think you're cleaning and doing all that stuff, but you can't clean away cells that have entered the body. You're not going to be able to do that. So once you've done that, and then you entered somewhere else or someone else or whatever, you're passing on, different things. And then people wonder why. Excuse me, let me get some water. She also said, because there's a infection that people like to say, oh, my pH balance is off, but it actually, that BV, bacteria vaginosis, actually comes from having anal sex. We're not, no ifs, ands, or about it. Because then you're taking the waste, and then I don't care if you went and showered or whatever, and then you're doing, continuing, and then you're putting it in your body through the vaginal area, and then you're depositing waste there. So that's just to say, because I'm sure people still do it. Well, I'll just put it on a whatever. I'm just giving the message. So I'm going to lay that to rest, because there's nothing else I can say. Anything, if you're doing it and you're not married, if you're putting the seed anywhere than where it's supposed to be, just being, so I left one thing out. Men sometimes, and some men pleasure themselves. And so that's wasting the seed also. People might say, this is, just, I understand. We have so much around us and we see so much. That's why it's very, very important to watch what you see, what you go around, who you hang around, and all these things, because it seeps into your brain and it takes over. So a man who does that probably thinks that they're doing not doing like they're like it's a good thing because the doctor, you get back, you'll get it, it'll get backed up, and that's not true, because if you do not release your sperm in 7 days, it gets absorbed back into your body and causes no harm. So whoever came up with that idea is probably the person who started doing it in the first place. And some men feel I'd rather do this than just keep going out and picking up random women. And hey, I'm not saying, by no means am I saying stop what you're doing. I'm not the digital underground. I'm just giving the message. You do with it what you want to. I just put it on your mind. You go look for it. You can go find stuff, and you can come back and say, Miss T, I think you're wrong, because what I read, it said, and I would be happy to say, oh, I made a mistake. That's not true. Let me reread this and find, I have no problem with that, because I am not a preacher. I'm not a pastor. I'm not a priest. Nothing like that. Never went to theology school. Never, none of it. I'm just a person who is trying to do what God has put in my head, put in my mind. He has done so much for me that the very least that I can do is to spread his word, because that's what he asks. He says to spread his word. He says to live your life like Jesus would when he was here on the earth. Now, of course, I am not like Jesus, because he was the only man who was on this earth that did not sin. And I sin. I have to get on my knees, or I have to repent all the time. I have to pray all the time that God takes whatever desire or whatever thing that I think that I don't have control over, or I'm sinning, to help me to release it. But the least that I can do for all the very millions of things that he's done for me is to do what he asks for me to do. That's to help excuse me, help his children that are less fortunate, with the right mindset. I'm not just going to, like I used to be, I'm going to help. I don't care if they are really just scamming me. No. I learned that with you guys. I learned that trying to spread the word to you guys. I learned that doesn't make any sense. That's not what God did not say be just with no other word than stupid while you're trying to do what I asked you to do. You can tell if a person, why would you help a person that you feel like really doesn't need help? They're just scamming you. You could be really helping somebody, and this, and then it leaves a bitter taste in your mouth. It's like, oh, I got scammed. I'm not never helping anybody again, which I wouldn't do, because that's my fault. If I let you scam me, that's my fault. But I now know that that's not the right thing to do. I can tell the difference. You can tell the difference. So basically, I work out, I go into the homeless shelters and on the streets where the homeless people hang out. And sometimes just people, God puts in your mind who you need to help. God puts you in places and meet people that just, this is who he wants you to talk to, or to help them out, to let them know that this is not from me. This is God sent me here, or this is from God. I don't know why He chose for me to drive down this street, because I don't usually take this route. I don't know why He told me to come to this store, because the store I go to is near my house. I can't explain it, but He will show you who you need to help, because I need guidance too. I need to be reassured that people are serving the Lord. Maybe someday I get tired and I'm like, oh, who's going to be there for me? Now, I know that God is always there for me, and that's enough. But sometimes you know, just by everyday life, you know, you have to deal with all, you know, bills and food and just different. Your car breaks down and appliances in your house go out, and just sometimes you just sit down and you be like, you want to say that why, but then you have to remember there's some people without a car. There's some people without a washer and dryer. You have to remember what God has done for you, what He has saved you from, what He has taken you from, when He held your hand through whatever you were going through. And that brings you back to reality. It's like, it's not going to be permanent. I don't have to go through this forever. You know, I don't know if, because we don't know the day nor the hour. I don't know if I will be here still alive when Jesus comes through the sky. I don't know if I will be buried when He comes. But it's still not going to be long. So I won't have to endure all these different things that, you know, you think about or what you're going through. And then the outcome that you know is coming. Just to know that you will never have to be sick, hungry, cold, worried about a bill, abused, anything is worth the little bit of agony, or not agony, a little bit of whatever that you have to go through on this earth. And truly, all I asked God, I said, I can do, just make me comfortable. I don't want to be rich. I don't want to be, you know, because I kind of know me. I know I will still do what God is asking me to, but I know I will let other things come in. If I'm flying, let's go, girl, we're going to Jamaica. Let's go to Italy. And then it's going to take me away from my purpose. So He does bless me. I live comfortably. I have everything that I need. I'm fine. I'm good. But I don't even want to have that temptation. I don't even want to know if I won $2 million or $3 million, if I would leave my post. So what I need to do is get myself firmly. I need to be able to, which I still never want to be, that rich. But I need to know that my feet are planted firmly, that nothing can change, nothing can turn me away, nothing will, make me go back. And when I say back, I don't mean back, I mean deter me from what I'm supposed to be doing. I'll still be doing it, but like how rich people be like, oh, handle this. I want you to take this money, and I want you to buy all these things and hand them out to the homeless. I want you, that would probably be what I would do, because I'm going to be on somebody's beach or somewhere that I don't need to be. I'm just going to have people do the work for me. And then in my mind, I'm still doing the work. I'm just having other people do it for me. So how are you doing the work if other people are doing it? God might have a message that you need to bring to someone that you didn't, that person that you had doing it doesn't know that message. So yeah, there's I don't mind do whatever here on earth, because God says you can live in the world but not of the world. So of course I'm going to run into things, I'm going to see things, I'm going to be tempted, I'm going to fall sometimes, but what I need to know is, or believe is, God still loves me and he's still going to bring me back up, and I'll start all over again if I have to. That's really all that I had for today. I don't know why that came into my head. I guess, like I said, somebody needed to hear it. I don't know who it was, but that's what actually, because I think what I was going to talk about had more to do with the getting your kids prepared for life, school and all that stuff. I had one of my supporters had put a comment about how he felt, and that he felt that after 5th grade he really didn't feel like he was learning anything, was more disciplined, and that he didn't, what he ended up doing, he didn't really feel that college would have helped what he was doing in life. And that's true. I believe you are, some people don't have to go to college. I believe the only time that, I guess, really that you would have to go to college, if you plan on being anything, a doctor, nurse, lawyer, things like that. You'll have to learn how, to be good at that. But anyone who has a brain and can comprehend, usually when you get a job, other than like being an accountant, specialty jobs, you use your brain. They will teach you or train you on the job, and then you learn your job and you do it. I'm not saying that you shouldn't send your kids to college. I'm not saying that college is a waste of time, because it's not. I just think college is, it's really, it's putting when a young person graduates from college, usually when they begin to start their life, they're already in debt, because they have these loans and all these things that they have to pay off. And who wants to start your life like that? Who wants to start your life off in a bad way? Because that's like, oh, I got to get a job because I got all these loans. I got to defer these because I still don't have a job. So it's up to the person. I went to a community college for a year. And what I can tell you is, I don't think I learned anything important other than I had to pay a loan. What I was going for was business administration. And then I wanted to go to a cosmetology school and then have my own beauty shop, hair shop, makeup, all that kind of stuff. Which I probably if I had done that, I would have made a lot of money by now. But that evidently was not my calling. That's not what I was supposed to be doing. So I didn't. And after that, I wanted to be an FBI agent. And so I filled out the forms and I sent in the application. And then I decided, Mm, maybe not. Because when you think, because it wasn't my first. Usually people's dreams have been with them for the beginning of time. You can't just, you can choose to be something else, but to have that willpower and the tenacity to go on and to learn and do, to be good at what you want, you have to have that driven in you from day one. If I was a kid and said, when I grow up I want to be an FBI agent, I want to be an FBI, I probably would have applied at a time where I could have been good at it. When I decided that's what I wanted to do, I was a little bit older, and I don't think that the situation that I was in was going to be a good fit for me. So obviously that wasn't my calling either. The job that I'm doing now, been here for many years. I'm not gonna say what I do, but anyhow, evidently this is what I was supposed to be doing, and it allows me not to have to travel and do extra stuff. I can have my set time and do my job and then be done. Don't have to do anything extra. Gives me time. Actually, it allows me to have more, because I get off at 2. So to me, I have the rest of the day. I still have a whole day to me. So if I have things to do, if I want to go out and me and my friends go out and give water back, kits for, and excuse me since it's early in my mind is sometimes goes round and round, but first aid kits or whatever out to the homeless, we could do that at 2:30. That's still way early. So that I feel that's a good thing for me, because I feel like I don't have to, if I get off at 4:30 and then I have to do this and this and then it's getting late, and then when you rush you get upset, I get anxiety and things happen. So this is a perfect time for me. Plus I get to work from home, and I don't have to have the rush, make sure I'm on time, get in the car, and then when it's cold outside, it's freezing, have to get your car started, and it's just a lot. And I did that for many years. But when you sit back and think about it, it's like, how'd you do that? But when COVID came, they sent us home, because of course everyone was afraid. They didn't know what it was and what was going on, and so they sent us home. Now they had intentions, I believe, on making us come back to the office, but I guess they feel like the work is still pretty much going smooth, and so if you're going to continue to do that, there's no need. They only send you back to the office if they see your productivity is not going well. So I never understood that. If you get to work from home, why would you just not do your work? I would never want to jeopardize anything to make me go back to the office. That didn't make any sense to me. But that's not me. That's them. So once again, that's all I have. You can go out and study or read or find books. Go read the Bible, and find out these things for yourself. Read for yourself. Never, ever, ever take my word for anything. Go out and look for it for yourself. I wanted to say I appreciate, I want to send a appreciation out to my friend Gary. He has a channel too. He gives inspirational messages, and he always uplifts me, gives me like a little pep talk, and it's Gary Bust Down Brown. Gary, I'm sorry if that's, I believe that's his name, if you want to check out his channel. But he always gives me a boost and tells me that, you know, how, you know, you're doing good and you're this and that, and I appreciate that. Even if he would, you know, contact me and say, well, the upload you did today, let me tell you, you shouldn't have, or not shouldn't have, I want to tell you what maybe you could have done a little bit better. I would appreciate that too. But I appreciate you. You're very kind, you're very nice, and I also enjoy your word. So everybody go over there and check him out too. That's it. Well, I hope tomorrow we'll find out what we're going to be talking about together. Everyone have a blessed day. Be well, safe. Hug your children, love your children. Be nice to your husbands, be nice to your wives. Be nice to your neighbor. All those good things. Take time out for yourself. Pamper yourself. You deserve it. And until next time.